This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monte Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
And I am Jason Hoover, sitting in for the one and only Carey Ann, CMG Financial, and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
You can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. Jason Hoover sitting in for the one and only Carey Ann Cyr. Jason, I'd always, man, to sit in those shoes, it must be tight, first of all. And we have my amazing wife, Connie Sue, which she doesn't like to be called Cindy. She's Connie. She's from Chicago, and every good Chicagoan should have a second middle name out there, you know, Billy Bob or Connie Sue, I think. You know, anyway.
Appreciate it, thanks.
She doesn't like that. And we have a real special guest today representing Ribbon Home, and this is Jaime Rodriguez. Jaime, we're excited about having you with us as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us here.
Absolutely. A big proponent of Ribbon Homes. I was just sharing with Jaime before we got started that when Ribbon came to Nashville, I think we were the second market, maybe something like that Ribbon came into, and Shable, the founder, was here, and when we heard about him, we had a special meeting here in this office in Franklin. Then the next day went to Carey Ann's office and had about 50 people there. And part of my mission in life ever since those meetings, ever since meeting the heart of the founder of this company, has been to share the good news about Ribbon Homes, because first of all, I love the history. Started out of, I'm sure you know the background, Jaime being, our representative here in the Nashville market, but a lot of people don't know that it was his parents that had struggled for years, coming from another country, had struggled for years to be able to have the down payment to purchase their own home. They were in California. And after several years living in this, I think, 700 square foot apartment without a bathroom, raising kids and so forth. Can you imagine that, Connie?
No. I can't imagine you and I.
And finally come up with the right amount of money to do this and to buy a home with FHA, and find out the rude awakening that at that time in life in our country, FHA would not loan the money to them because of the color of their skin. That was just... And then so he went, dejected, went to work that night to share how heartbroken his wife was, and thinking about moving back to India and how sad that was, for them, because this was supposed to be the land of opportunity. And then some fellow workers rallied around, gave him enough money to buy a home with cash.
Yeah. And
my understanding is then, ever since that time, to show an element of gratitude, when their home would increase in value, they would take that money and find somebody else in those same shoes that needed help to be a homeowner. And they would give them the opportunity to rent the home and then close on it later, and whatever they paid for it, the people in the future would pay for it. And so they kept it really, really humble. And anyhow, I love the story, love the roots of this organization. And I think I have a conviction that people have to believe the messenger before the message matters. Certainly the message from Shable here is incredibly heartfelt, with a conviction that, man, that's hard to top, from in today's business world. That's pretty incredible, don't you think, Jason?
It's very incredible, yeah. And it just reminds me that, the old saying that business happens where problems are solved. Yeah. And there was a problem there, and he, it's made a career out of it. And I think, and not only that, but he's also giving people like you more and more. He's growing the company, giving more jobs. So it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
So you've been with him for a little while now.
Yeah. But first of all, Monte, you should work with the company. And that was an incredible spiel. But
it's a heartfelt one, because the man connected on a heart level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if somebody, if you believe in somebody at heart level, the rest of it's cake. We might have some bumps along the way. We're people are not perfect, and we're living in a world that is changing, daily.
It's true.
And that's one of the reasons I think I respect you guys so much, is because as the market has moved, you guys have moved with it. You pivoted with it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Ribbon on again. And so let's tell us about you, Jaime, and more about your experience with Ribbon and your role and how we can best understand that part.
Yeah, sure, Monty. And that Nashville trip that you mentioned that you met with Shable, even though the company's growing so much and there's so many more employees now, every once in a while you can count on a story of that trip popping up. It left a mark in Shable and Way and all the founders, so you left an impression. And so it really, I can say on behalf of the company, it's an honor to be back on the show, first of all.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
As far as my background is concerned, I've been in real estate for maybe like 11 years.
Okay.
Previously, 2 years in Nashville, and before that in South Florida, where I'm from.
Okay.
Lots of commercial, industrial land with Colliers, did high-end residential. And I saw a lot of what's happening here in Tennessee. And boy, do I wish that this tool would have been around when I was working, in 2010, 11, 12.
Me too. Me too.
Would have made quite a lot more commissions,
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yes.
But happy to be here now, and like you mentioned very precisely, Monty, it's a beautiful tool because it's about giving. It comes from a place of giving, and the secret to living is giving, and the company believes that, and the employees believe that, and when you're working for something bigger than yourself like that, it makes it easier on a day-to-day basis.
Man, amen to that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
And it gives there's a lot of fulfillment, I would imagine, in doing that. And
There is because when you're when you're hitting your targets or the quotas or whatever, it's not like a sell target. It's actual human people that you're giving home ownership to, and you get to hear from FHA families or VA families that have been looked down on for years, and they're getting these beautiful homes in Georgia or Tennessee or whatever, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
what I'm just really curious because I think it's great. But what is y'all's company culture like? Seems like it'd be very strong and bonded.
Yeah, that's a good question. The company culture is really all about openness and acceptance and trust, but the common thread with everybody, regardless of the department or anything, is to make home ownership achievable.
Yeah.
That's like the main concern. Is like, how can we work together to make it more achievable and fix this broken system that we think is going on?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it's an interesting time, and again, like what Jason said, the need arose, and then somebody came in and solved that need. Buyers were home buyers, not investors. Were getting at the bottom of the stack, and immediately when I saw that they could have a fighting chance, the veteran, like you mentioned, the FHA buyer could have a chance. The first time buyer that doesn't have a lot of cash could have a chance. Again, that sold me on it. And after hearing, of course, again, Shable's Heart, the foundation, because I'm a believer, and we have to believe that messenger. So let's talk about. First of all, for those that are new to Ribbon, let's start from the beginning for the benefit of those who are new, but not spend a lot of time with that. But because I really want to make sure we're getting into the changes that Ribbon has made during this time, where you have to pivot with crazy appraisals or short appraisals, and the options that you guys have come up with to continually bring value to the marketplace and to the local real estate agent. And first of all, before I interrupt myself, one of the things that Jason and I and Connie love about Ribbon is you guys are one of the, seems like sometimes, only companies out there not trying to get rid of us, okay?
Yeah.
You're not trying to skirt around us and do deals without us involved in that. And thank you so much for that. We're grateful for that, because as Shable has made a difference in an area that has a need, and my passion is to raise the bar in our industry so we have a future, so that those tech companies that are trying to paint us into a corner of an unnecessary expense, that we are truly the much needed advocate for the buyer and seller. So let's talk about, real quickly, if you can give us a quick overview about what Ribbon does from the beginning part of it, as far as what they're bringing to the table for those new people. But then I want to make sure we're spending most of our time with the changes. If that could.
Absolutely, Monty. But yeah, like you said, we're not trying to get anybody out of the current ecosystem. We're trying to strengthen the current ecosystem.
I love that.
So, we focus on the buying side. While this can be looked at as a listing tool, it's really for the home buyer. That's like the number one thing to understand. So the people that want to buy their first home, the buyer. And we talk about these different scenarios. We can talk about them in a little bit, but I think we're all aware here, like we said, of the current challenges. So the idea is for agents to have another tool in their tool belt and have more closings, because it's a guaranteed closing. So, right now you're constantly competing in Tennessee. Now even foreign money is coming to Tennessee. So this is simply going to have your offers come in with the strongest foot forward. With it's going to make your offers not only cash but also no home sale financing or appraisal contingencies.
Love that.
So that's kind of like the overview.
So and just to break it down a little bit more. So let's say that you have been trying to buy a house and you're competing with cash buyers all the time from a realtor or consumer standpoint, and you're getting beat out. Ribbon is like, I always love the analogy that's like waking up one day and this is what I tell our new agents when we're onboarding them is, imagine tomorrow you wake up and you've got a rich uncle. And that rich uncle said, hey, Connie, how about, I know you're struggling out there helping your clients. How about I do this? How about I offer cash for those struggling first-time buyers or any repeat buyers or those contingent buyers, and help you work that out at a very, very nominal fee. Would that be of interest?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Hell yes. It absolutely would. So anyhow, I want to make sure everybody understands that part. So we have this moving target, this thing called our world right now. It's a moving target, it feels like. So there was some challenges, a while back with how does Ribbon stay competitive with this evolving marketplace that's gotten so tough where homes are going up at staggering prices, not healthy prices at all.
Yeah.
How do you continue to do business in that environment at the same time not get anybody in a dangerous position?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's a good question, Monte. And by the way, before going forward, I forgot to plug in a link, which is important for anybody that wants to sign up for Ribbon.
Awesome.
Because this is going to allow them to have basically someone that is going to walk them through their first couple deals.
Perfect.
Dedicated account manager that's going to work with them 7 days a week.
Nice.
So it's not like getting their data or anything, but this is important. And the URL is tinyurl.com/Ribbon Music City. Ribbon, RIBBON, Music City. So any new agent that is interested in the platform, sign up here, and it's going to be helpful in your first couple deals.
So thank you for stopping on that. Because Connie, what do you share with the new agents that have not heard of Ribbon before that are concerned about how do I explain that?
Well, that's just it. They don't have to. They don't have to become the expert in it. Obviously, we
Right.
want them familiar with the system and how to represent their clients through that. But just to get on a three-way call with the representative to be able to walk them through all of the little nuances
Sure.
of the services. Because, again, as the market changes, things change. So, again, they don't have to be the expert. We've got an expert right at the other end of the line. So.
And there's a lot of details here that, even us in the company takes us months to fully understand. So we don't expect, the agents to understand this in a podcast or in a deal. And then when they are explaining it to their buyers or to the sellers or the listing agent or whatever, they're not going to have all the answers. So this is
Right.
why having like that person, account manager or dedicated is going to help them.
Here's what we hate to see. I know Jason hates this, is that we tell the agents about something, they don't do the homework, and I get it. There's a lot when you first get involved. I get it. There's a lot of things. But then something happens that, this might work. And then they try to share it with their clients. Again, we go back to people have to believe the messenger before the message matters. And if they can't articulate it and don't know, all they would have had to do is sign up like you're given that information, get their account rep, and all they've got to do is invite them on a three-way call. That's all they've got to do.
Right.
They've got the expert there that can convince them that, hey, this might be a really good option.
Right, exactly. So, basically that's the gist. After agents sign up at tinyurl.com/Ribbon Music City, basically what ends up happening throughout a series of processes is Ribbon ends up guaranteeing the offer for the seller and the listing agent. So once the due diligence period ends, which is 7 days, then whatever happens, rain or shine, the seller's house is going to sell, is going to close, and the commission of the agent is guaranteed. Okay, now basically we can break this down into like a couple products that Ribbon does for this, but from the seller perspective, it makes the Ribbon offer really appealing because they can move on with their lives. They can, the seller is like, listen, whatever happens to the buyer, if they lose their jobs or whatever, it's not our problem. We can move on. We have our money.
Yeah, and let's pause there for a second, Jamie, because honestly, those who have not worked with Ribbon, I don't know that you understand. There's a difference with cash buyers. There's a legitimate difference. There's cash buyers that have bailed and walked away from their earnest money. So it wasn't a solid deal after all. The cash didn't mean anything after all, apparently.
Right.
But when Ribbon puts a deal on, once you get through the inspection period, because it's not subject to an appraisal. That's really important. Everybody understand it's not subject to an appraisal, but at the same time, you're going to say what your Ribbon's going to say what they will pay for that house.
Right.
And that's what we're going to get into in a little bit here. But then once they get through that inspection period, it's a done deal. And even if my understanding is, even if the buyer goes out and does something they were supposed to, opens up a credit card at Kohl's or whatever, or buys a new car, that Ribbon will still close in that house.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's true. Well, I mean, this is a real life example because I used to be an account manager here in Tennessee, and last year, a couple were a couple weeks from closing, well past the due diligence period, and unfortunately, both lost their jobs.
Wow.
We obviously don't want these things to happen. Nobody does, but this is real life stuff. So this is when Ribbon really kicked in. The sellers were happy. The agent was happy. They didn't have to put the home back on the market or anything like that. Everybody kind of moved on with their lives. Yeah.
So then Ribbon closed on the house, and then Ribbon just turned around and sold it again. Is that what?
Yeah, we sell it back to the market. We're not in there to make profit or anything. That's not our business model.
Right.
But yeah.
But I mean, you're going to close when you make that commitment. You're going to close, unlike what an individual could end up doing.
That's right.
I love that part.
That's right.
That part. So what's next then? In the big picture here.
So so basically that's the main picture. We have two main products with Ribbon. I mean, we really have three, but 95% of our deals are basically two options that your clients will use with us. One of them is called Ribbon Boost.
Ribbon Boost. I love Ribbon Boost.
And the other one is called Ribbon Reserve.
Okay.
So there's a third one. I just want to put it out there. It's called Ribbon Rescue, but I don't want to spend too much time on that because that's like less than 5% of our business. But we can briefly touch on it at the end.
Yeah, I think that's important as well because sometimes things happen and you guys come to the rescue. I get that.
Sure. But Ribbon Boost really is it's 1% of the purchase price of the house. That's the fee, and it's paid in earnest money deposit at the beginning. Although actually, you end up paying 2.4% at the beginning. I'll explain why, because of Ribbon Reserve. But Ribbon Boost is when your clients don't need Ribbon's cash don't need Ribbon to buy the house.
Right.
They simply need a stronger
You need to bring the muscle to the table to win the deal.
Exactly.
So but you don't have to close on it.
So you're sick and tired of losing on homes every weekend for a month and a half. Everybody's frustrated and you just want the strongest offer. This would be Ribbon Boost because it allows you to use not only our cash, but no home sale financing or appraisal contingency to stand out.
I'm sure you're aware of this, but Carey Ann Cyr, our preferred lender, who's an amazing #1 mortgage professional in the universe, I guess. I'm not sure. She's ranking in somewhere in there. She will pay half of that 1%, so it's really only 0.5%. For me, just where I stand, I'd be glad to pay that other half all day long, to help somebody make something happen. Because a lot of times, people don't have that extra cash. A lot of times, But I mean, 1%, everybody should if they're buying a house. Certainly in today's world. But it's nice to know that a mortgage company is such a believer of Ribbon Homes that they also will share in that whole experience to help make things happen.
That's right. Perfectly said, Monte. And then, of course, Ribbon Reserve is kind of like our trademark product,
right?
And that is in state of Tennessee, it's 2.4% of the purchase price, and that is put at the beginning, earnest money deposit, in escrow like it normally does. And
let's pause there for a second.
Sure.
The reason why it's 2.4 is your intent may be, I'm going to close on this thing before, so Ribbon doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But in the event that you weren't able to, Ribbon has then got that money there already, is my assumption.
And Connie, I love talking to Monte. He's a master.
I'm not a brilliant. I believe it. I believe the company.
I love it. Yeah, that's exactly right. That covers our full fee in the event we have to purchase. But if they only need to use the Ribbon Boost and everything goes according to plan, then they only end up paying 1%.
Awesome.
Now, is that why you do the 2.4% regardless? Up front on either one of those?
Correct.
And then if you don't have to close on it, then they're giving that money back?
Yes. Basically, if they only end up paying 1% and everything is normal, then they get the 2.4% back on the
or the
closing,
1.4,
and then there's like a 1% separate line item at closing. Okay. That's
okay.
Yeah. So our trademark product, Ribbon Reserve, basically 2.4%, Monte, and this one. It's when you need us to buy the house for your client for whatever reason.
Well, I think originally it was to help the contingent buyer not be a contingent buyer.
Yeah.
So back then we had those kind of things where people's home hadn't sold, and they wanted to get the family and the gerbil and the cat and so forth out of the house stage it and get a top dollar for it. In the meantime, move into this one.
Yeah.
That additional payment or rent wasn't going to be counted against them and their qualification ability.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, exactly. No,
I hope to grow up and be in your shoes, bro. That's really what I want to, if this real estate thing doesn't work out, I want to start working for Ribbon.
I get it. I love this partnership already, Monte. But yeah, that's exactly right. So, for whatever reason, maybe you have people moving from another state to Tennessee, and they're selling their home over there, wherever they're from, New York, California, and they need that cash to buy the home now. But they fall in love with a house in Brentwood or whatever, or Franklin here. It's like, you know what? They can buy the house in Franklin now. Ribbon will buy it for them. We can lease it back to them for up to 6 months while they get their ducks in order, wherever they're coming from, get a nice offer, whatever, and then they just buy it back from Ribbon at the same price.
So they don't have to move twice. They don't have to go into temporary housing, waiting for their home to sell.
Right.
Wow, what a benefit.
Or close twice, by the way, because a common question is, do we have to close twice? No, the closing costs are only once. The second time. Right. That's a big deal. Yeah.
That's sweet.
And there's a lot of different situations where people kind of need us to buy the house for them. That's just one example, but whatever situation may be, where we can buy it for them.
Maybe somebody's qualifications aren't going to be completed for a month, maybe, or something, because they haven't been in the job maybe long enough, or something.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. But with a solid lender, with a solid approval, with that caveat, that I'm understanding that you'll move forward with them.
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's. I mean, honestly, when you get your arms around this from an old guy like me who's been doing this for almost 4 decades. Dude, this becomes a no-brainer, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes a no-brainer. I mean, that's why it's really easy to promote this whole program.
Thanks, Monte.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, how does the get into the details? So, how does the appraisal work? So, if I have a home that my buyers like and we want to use you guys, where does that start? I know they've got a pre-approval in hand with a lender. So, to you guys, does it matter what lender they use?
Hey, great question, Jason, right?
Yeah.
Great questions there. So yeah, we're not agnostic. We don't care what lender you use or anything like that.
Okay. You
can use whoever you want. And you mentioned a couple really important things there. The pre-approval letter. Can't emphasize how important that is. You mentioned it, but that is really the keys that turn on the engine of the car when it comes to Ribbon. So basically, when the agents open an account with Ribbon by tinyurl.com/Ribbon Music City, and you get the account manager and you have an account page, the first thing you're going to want to do, and you add a client, is you want to upload a pre-approval letter. That is the keys that turn on the machine. And the reason why I emphasize that is because that is going to give your client buying power from Ribbon based on the pre-approval letter. So using as an example, if the pre-approval letter is for $500,000, you upload the letter on the platform. It's very easy to use, our website. And we may email the loan officer just to confirm some details, credit, income, and assets, just like make sure that everything is good. If they confirm it, which they don't normally do, then approved, buying power, and that means that they can use $500,000 in this example from Ribbon's cash to buy a house. So that's the first part of your question. I think that answers right. Yeah. So that means you can play with that amount of money looking for homes.
So let's say though you're looking at 450, you're approved for 500, you're looking at 450, and with our crazy market, it's not uncommon for something to maybe go to 500 was only worth 450. What's Ribbon's? I mean, is this done by hands-on individuals? Is this a combination of hands-on eyeballs and algorithms? How do you guys determine a price? And is that a conservative price, or do you have measures where you can go a little higher?
Yeah, that's great questions, Monte. So we don't use algorithms or any of that. We have human people, and we basically have professionals appraisal for the state of Tennessee and for all the states we operate in, except they work for us.
Okay.
So they look at MLS, they look at closings for the past 30, 60 days, they look at neighborhoods, Franklin, whatever. Like we really do look at comps very, very carefully. Humans do. And we will give the home that you put into the system a maximum Ribbon value, which is basically how much we think the house is worth. And one of the differences to the program, which we'll discuss in a minute, comes here. But we'll give the house like a value of how much we think the house is worth. And that answers that part.
Yeah. So then exactly that's where I'm getting this appraisal protection topic. Let's discuss that.
Sure.
I think is there I know there for a minute, and I haven't looked lately to see if that's still in place, but I think you give a couple of options at that point, what people are willing to...
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is a really new feature. It's called Ribbon Cash Plus.
Okay.
I mean, it's been like 3 weeks, maybe, like less than a month. So basically before, the way it worked, and this is still kind of part of it, so it's not totally irrelevant. The way it worked is...
And let me put a caveat. Guys, the market's changing daily, so if something isn't relevant by the time you watch this, please understand, it's a moving target here.
Right.
So I want you to feel, free to talk about it, even though, we don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, let alone
I appreciate that.
a month from now.
Monte. So the way we used to work was, we gave the house a maximum ribbon value, and we would basically have something called the ribbon guarantee.
Right.
Which was if the house, let's say, appraised for $490 or $480, but we thought the house was worth $500 and the bank part was $500, we would guarantee the $500 to the seller.
Right.
So
I loved that. I thought that was awesome.
No, and that was great. And we would the way we would do it is we would tell the seller to lower the price at closing and give them the price. Give them the price difference at closing. Sorry,
you guys would. You
lower the
write
price
the check.
at contract. Yeah, exactly. We would write the check. Now, just because we're growing so fast and we're doing so much volume now, so much more, we had to tweak a little bit. And the way Ribbon Cash Plus works is basically we have two valuations for our property, Monte. We have the ribbon value, which is the ribbon's estimated sales price based on market activity. And we have a maximum ribbon value, which is the maximum offer amount ribbon will fund on a given property. So like two different values here. So in step one, we determine the offer you wish to make on your client's home, which of these two, basically. If the offer is up to the ribbon value, then the ribbon guarantee that we just talked about stays the same.
Right.
We still do that. Okay. But if your client would like to write an offer above the ribbon value and up to the maximum ribbon value, so it's like a new max value, like maybe for overpriced houses or something, then they can power up their offer with Ribbon Cash Plus. Okay, and buyers can choose how to pay the Ribbon Cash Plus fee on a variety of ways. They can pay it depending on their financial situation. They can pay it now, or they can pay it later whenever they cash out refinancing or a future sale or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. So give us an example of what that looks like in numbers.
Let's
go back.
A lot. So yeah.
Let's go to the 500,000 as an example again.
Sure. So there's a cost involved with the Ribbon Cash Plus. So
I would think so.
Yeah, exactly. So if your clients want to make like a stronger offer, maybe the competition is a little above the ribbon value, and inside the maximum ribbon value, but above what ribbon thinks it's worth, then this would be a good opportunity to take this. And they can pay the difference with the Ribbon Cash Plus now or later. The difference is this: if they choose to pay it now, the cost is $250 for every $1,000 above the ribbon value. Okay. And stop me if we need to rewind a little bit, but the Ribbon Cash Plus Pay Now fee is collected with the ribbon fee, and is payable via deposit at the beginning, at the beginning of the process.
So $5,000 would be $1,250.
Exactly. But they can also, depending on the financial situation, choose to pay this difference later, which I think is super appealing, quite frankly.
Right.
Because the fees are deferred until a future sale of the house or a cash out refinancing event, and is based on the additional amount of funding Ribbon provides up close. So basically, you're kicking the can down the road. You still get the house now and all that good stuff. So
and trust that the appreciation will happen, so it'll be a non-issue when they decide to sell the house.
That's right.
This is why you need a Ribbon account rep.
Yes, exactly.
To be able to explain this to your clients.
Exactly. And when I was an account manager, I used to talk all the time with sellers and listing agents who thought maybe it was like a gimmicky or too good to be true, and you have to break it down for them and get them off the ledge and accept the offer. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like mortgage, we don't need to be trying to explain all the different programs they have, but we need to be intelligent enough to be able to explain the main points of it, and then hand them off to a professional, which would be in this case the account manager.
And I want to emphasize, Jason, that we never contact like your clients like above you without telling you or anything like that. And we're super strong on confidentiality. So when you add when you put your buyer into our website through the tinyurl.com/ribbonmusiccity, we're not going. Privacy is huge for us, obviously, and we're all gonna do it like with you guys on the line, or unless you guys tell us call them or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's again using real numbers. Let's say we had a $500,000 home, but we knew it was going to take, and that was Ribbon's value, but we knew it was going to take 520, and we checked with you on your extended value, and you guys said you'd go to 525 or 520. So that will cost them that extra $20,000 would cost them then. Who's good at math right now?
$5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah, because it'll be 250 times 20.
Okay, that's right. You get an extra $20,000 for only $5,000.
Right.
So that's all that they don't pay the difference back later on then.
Well, they just pay back, but they owe that to Ribbon. But basically, we can collect that later. Like we're not.
But that $5,000, that's not the only fee, is it?
That is in addition to the Ribbon fee.
Okay.
Yeah,
in
okay.
addition to the Ribbon fee. Too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's part of earnest money up front, correct?
So the Ribbon fee is earnest money upfront, regardless.
Right.
There's a Ribbon Cash Plus thing. It can be either at the beginning, in addition to the Ribbon
okay.
fee,
Gotcha.
or it can be later down the road if they do the pay later thing.
And with such a hot market, houses not lasting, what's the turnaround time so that they can put in a cash offer?
Yeah, super great question, Jason. We're very strong on that. Obviously, we understand that maybe you have some agents that are looking at houses right now where it's like 2 p.m. local time and maybe offers are due by 6. Well, there is an option for that. So
Oh, really? Wow.
Normal turnaround is 24 hours.
Okay.
That's what if everything is normal, we say please allow 24 hours, right?
What about weekends?
Including weekends. We work Saturdays and Sundays.
Nice.
Pretty
You
much
guys
normal
might as well
hours.
get in real estate. If you
But if there is something that needs urgent, there's 2 levels of priority where you contact your account manager as the agent and you say, we have one that is like, we need it within 4 hours, and we have one that is, we need it within an hour, like
Oh, wow.
right now.
And how quick can you close?
Good question. So closing is 14 business days after due diligence ends, which is 7 calendar days.
So 21
Okay.
days roughly.
Yeah.
So tell us before we run out of time.
Yeah.
Jamie, tell us about this Ribbon Hub. Do you speak Ribbon Hub?
Maybe.
I was reading. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I was reading on your website today about writing an offer in this thing called Ribbon Hub.
I think it's the fancy name for the for the platform.
For the platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when the agents sign up, again, tiny
It's
URL,
the platform, and that's what it sounds like, a platform.
Yeah, Ribbon Music City. It's a super friendly. We want it to be easy. Like we don't want your agents in Monte that are going around making offers. We want to make the commissions for you and for them, not having tech issues.
But my understanding is for the listing agent, it actually gives you basically a spreadsheet to compare the end results. I thought that was super awesome tool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of like.
I don't want to bump you out of your position here, brother.
No.
Maybe I just.
You know what?
Just kidding.
Unless it's like a brand new thing, but I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Yeah,
on that.
well, that's cool. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
there,
you're
but,
good. You're good, Monte.
I
And
just
have
wanted
something real quick too.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to share a story. We had one of our licensed real estate professionals share a story with me recently where she had literally written 12 or 13 offers for a buyer. FHA, great lender, everything was great, but they just couldn't win any offers.
Right.
And I said to her, what about Ribbon? She said, well, I tried talking my clients into it, and I said, just get them on the phone with a rep.
Yeah.
Literally within the next week, they had a house under contract.
Yeah.
And they never had to use Ribbon because the lender was able to close. But it was, I just get them on the phone.
Yeah,
with
Connie,
Ribbon.
that's a really, really good point because again, guys, it's a stressful time. The buyers are, deer in headlights constantly because the numbers and so forth. Don't try to convince them to do something you're not clear about yourself.
Right.
Get that rep on the phone. That's just that's a great example.
And now she's actually putting her Ribbon rep and some detail on the back of her business card. That's how much she believes in it now, because literally 13 properties, her clients were really getting deflated. They were getting beat out constantly, multiple offer situations, and some not even 2 offers, and they were still losing.
That's why I say, for 1%, if they have the ability, we don't have another house somewhere else we're trying to sell. If they have the ability, and that 1%. I mean, even if I'm just speaking from a realtor who's been out there selling thousands of homes over the last 38 years, it would be worth it many times as a realtor to pay that out of your commission if you needed to. But here's a mortgage company, Carey Ann Cyr with CMG Financial. She'll split that 1%, so it's 0.5%.
Yeah.
that makes it a no-brainer. A 0.5% to get to take a finance buyer to a cash buyer. What's there to talk about?
Totally.
Right.
Totally. There's a couple things you said, Connie, there to unwrap that are pretty interesting. Number one is, we do see a pattern where agents that are new to Ribbon, the first time they don't know what they're doing, the account manager will guide them through every step. The second time, it's a little bit better. They're still making some mistakes, but they already got paid on one commission. They know it works. They're just kind of getting like a baby learning how to walk or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the third time, agents become raving fans because they're closing a lot more. When I was an agent, I remember that horrible tension getting deals across the finish line, like when stuff happens. The fact that you don't have to worry about that and can actually enhance your pipeline is it's incredible. It's actually like a game changer.
Well, and it's not just for the buying agents, as we know, Jamie. One of those that month I sold 5. One of those 5 with Ribbon. One of those 5 was a listing I had.
Yeah.
I'd gotten a full price offer from California, subject to their home selling, and I said, Joan, we don't want to do this, but. And let me reach out to the other agent. I said, there's another option that if they're really interested in this house, I believe that they'll take this other option. Would you be willing to pay 3% of towards their costs if you knew it was a done deal, a cash deal that you could move on?
Yeah.
Well, she goes, I'd absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and so anyhow, the next day they come back after I talked to the agent. I said, have you heard about Ribbon Homes? He goes, well, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it's about. And so I explained it to him, gave him the number to dial into to talk to a rep. They got on the phone, 3-wayed with the client. Next day we get a full price offer asking that 3% to be paid.
Done.
It was a no-brainer.
That's right.
It was a done. We closed the next month.
That's right.
So it's not just, my point is, it's not just for the buyer's side, it's for the seller as well to feel confident about that offer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you wanted to tell us about the program? Jamie, I appreciate your time today. Again, we're big believers, as you probably have gathered by now. It's got to be such an honor to work for these folks. Is there anything else that you can leave us with?
No, well, Monte, just a couple things. Number one, it's an honor to be here because
Thank you.
Trust me, I'm the business development for Tennessee and Alabama, and what you have built in this office, you can immediately tell.
Thank you.
You start seeing patterns of the successful brokerages, and this is a very special place, very productive, and everyone seems like a great thing. So
thank you, sir.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I know Shavel and Way will be happy to hear from you. And this is a beautiful tool. We're growing a lot, and the reason why we're growing a lot is because we're making home ownership achievable. And
Sweet.
we have this weekly meeting, all hands on deck as a company, and we always share some stories. And there's always there's tears most of the time because you hear single moms with kids, the whole 9 yards, the whole spectrum. So this way you're helping. At the end of the day, if you're an agent and you're listening to this, besides the commission and putting food for your family, the fact that you can help increase home ownership in this country to people with this tool, it's like a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
So,
And one more time, how can people get a hold of Ribbon?
yeah, absolutely. So tinyurl.com/ribbon with a double B Music City, and you can create your own portal there and have your own account manager.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Jamie. We really appreciate it. We love Ribbon, and we thank you all for joining us today. Be sure and come back and visit again at the Talk of Music City Real Estate. Blessings.